Welcome back to the Fit Family Podcast for another episode and another topic breakdown. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
So, week and a little bit between episodes, and something that has popped up. I wouldn't say we.
Yeah, a lot.
What?
This
What?
pops up a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our topic.
Yeah. You're looking at me as I'm
I'm
speaking
excited.
German.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
No. So often with the topics we talk about, it usually takes maybe either a terrific question from one of our clients that we think is, a potential stumbling block or issue for our wider community, or we get asked about a couple of things in a week and it's like, okay, this is obviously pretty topical, or, it's on the agenda or it's seasonal in that way. However, this is neither of those, as in it's not seasonal, but we're going to talk about eating healthy dinners and just some of the pitfalls when it comes to nutrition when you're managing everyone else's intake as well as yourselves, and how to navigate that and how to stay on track and how to not get frustrated by the whole situation. Because we are big on personal accountability and accountability, for those around you. But in order to be, on track and accountable, you need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's break it down. One of the issues with a dinner in a family household, specifically when you're cooking for other people or you're having other people cook for you, is that for the rest of your day, your nutrition is pretty much totally in your control.
Yeah, can I stop you right there?
Go.
The question we ask in our one-on-one nutrition, that is, like, what are you in control of?
Yeah, it's on our...
Who does the cooking? Who does the shopping? These are questions we're asking people because it does make a difference in how you as the individual, so the person eating with the goal, the decisions you make during the day.
It also changes what we address versus coaches too. Like if you're in charge of most of it, then you can make the change from a behavioral perspective. We can make some changes to your ingredients. Whereas if you are not in control of it, then we need to teach you the science of portion control pretty quickly so that you can start to practice it. So yes, that is a massive part of our onboarding, and probably something that people just skip when they start a diet. It's like, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try and eat healthily. And this is crossing the bridge between, what's perfect and what's practical. And what's practical just gets left in the mud almost every single time someone tries to do it by themselves, really.
Absolutely, because it impacts everybody that you live with, whether that be your family, your housemate, your parents. It's very relevant for your journey.
Yeah, and as soon as like if we, to our kids who fluctuate with how good they are at eating, we've got a couple of good ones, a couple of bad ones. And when I say a couple, we have 3. So sometimes they flip-flop between. But if we were to just start cooking vegan meals only, like there'd be mutiny in the house. There'd be uproar. We would be under attack. Yeah. So making a big sweeping change like that, and then you start to deal with a little bit of peer pressure, and it's like, okay, I don't want to upset the apple cart. Now I'm cooking 2 meals, and now it's all becoming a bit too hard. Like that is a level of kind of
complexity you don't need.
Yeah, complexity and just invasiveness into what you're already doing that not only do you not need, it's just not sustainable. There's absolutely no chance that you can do that for long enough for your body to make the changes you need. So let's go back to the absolute beginning. So at the heart of the matter, if your dinner is something that is out of your control, if you don't cook, then you are going to potentially struggle to get to where you want to go with your nutrition and your fitness purely just through weight of numbers. And what I mean by that is if you are already eating, what we would classify as pretty well, as in your energy balance is near the mark, you're kind of nailing that calories in, calories out, you're getting a good amount of vegetables with your meal, and you are hitting a good level of protein, up and over 1.5 grams per kilo of your body weight, then you should have the knowledge to kind of adjust whatever meals are coming your way. As in, I know that's a carbohydrate, I know that's a protein, and I can start to build my plate in a way that complements my goals. But if you don't know how to do that, then you're going to find it hard to navigate a dinner, especially when your breakfast and lunch aren't aren't kind of maybe dialed into the level that's required. Because 33% of your intake, probably more, because most people eat more at a dinner time than they do at a breakfast and lunch. So it could potentially be the majority of your caloric intake at night is then being not optimal. And you're just going to really struggle to progress if you need to be 85 to 90% on it. It's just not going to happen.
Well, let's give two scenarios then. Let's give the scenario of not cooking, and then we'll go into the scenario of cooking.
Sure. So, scenario of not cooking, like when you get home, put your bag down from work or from sports training, and you get in and it's a stir fry. It's, snow peas, there's some kind of protein there, fish, beef, chicken, whatever, or a vegetarian option, and you're looking at a saucepan of rice. Like if you just kind of just eyeball it, put it in, yep, that looks right, you really have no idea. Whereas if you know that, okay, I need to have roughly 2 cupped handfuls of carbohydrates, easy. There's your rice in the bowl. I'm going to have as much protein as possible. You just need to swap your ratios a bit, or you might make a side salad or something like that, and all of a sudden you're there.
All right, you lost me, and I'm a nutrition coach that lives with you.
Did I just breeze through it too quickly?
Yeah, so that actual stir fry, so you gave the example of the 2 cupped hands, which is good. So
cupped handfuls of carbs, yeah.
Of carbs. You made me lose myself then. So if we're looking at a stir fry that's already mixed, it can be quite hard for people to eyeball this.
Really hard.
Okay, so the 2 cupped handfuls of carbohydrates is quite reasonable. You can grab it. But if there is stuff mixed through that, so how can then someone eyeball the protein, for example? What would you suggest to somebody if there's a pre-mixed stir fry left on the bench for them?
On the wok.
How they could then put that in their bowl?
Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would potentially ask the cook how much they've used. So how much chicken did you use? They might say 500 grams or a kilo, however big the tray is. And then you'll be able to kind of just in your mind see that, okay, so if there were 4 serves of this, then there's roughly 250 grams. You could do it that way, or the easiest way would be to look at your palm and just try and guess if there's a palm or 2 palms worth of protein in your bowl.
Yeah. So the hands are always good. So if it is mixed, I'd try and grab the noodles out separate. Like obviously you're going to grab some veggies and, a little bit of chicken or whatever protein is in there. But I'd try and take it out of the prepared meal separately rather than try and eyeball it when it's all mixed in, because you don't necessarily know what's under the tongs.
Yeah, of course.
If that makes sense. So it's actually quite easy to do. We do that quite a lot.
Yeah, all the time. And with this as well, if you approach a dinner and you're, part of your plan is roughly 2 palms of protein and 2 cupped handfuls of cooked carbohydrates, your guess at that is going to be good enough.
Yeah.
It's going to be good enough. Like compared to just approaching and filling up a bowl to what you think is a reasonable portion. If you just put that level of thought through it, and then even if you're 70% close, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. It's going to be less carbs than it would have otherwise been, which means it's going to keep the overall calories down, and your protein is going to be higher than it would have otherwise been because you're kind of trying to select the more protein dense parts of the fry pan or the wok or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Beautiful. So that is if you are not in control of your dinner, just how you could then eyeball that to be optimal for you. Also, one thing that is quite common, and this is something that is often quite cultural.
Can we just before we move on, that is the hardest example when stuff is pre-mixed in. Yeah. Often, like if you're at a family barbecue and it's just there's my salad, there might be a bread, and there might be a meat. That is the easiest ever.
Oh yeah, like absolutely. When you're building a plate.
Yeah, 100%. Or if it's a roast, or if it's fish and veggies, whatever it is, if you've just got separate ingredients, that's so much easier than if you just heard us try and briefly explain noodles. That is as hard as it will ever be.
Yeah, or curries.
Yeah,
like
curries,
rice
stews, stuff like that. That is, 10 out of 10 difficulty to try and eyeball it, but most of the time it's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's my point's still on the same topic, to be honest. What was quite common in my household growing up is if we went home for dinner. So, for example, when we got jobs when we were a little bit older and we'd come home from our shift, Mum would actually prepare our plate. So she would portion it for us and it would be ready and be wrapped in the oven in foil. And
which is beautiful. It's a fitness disaster.
Bless you, Non. Bless you, Non.
It's a fitness disaster, yeah.
So, but that is what I'd say is quite common practice in households. So that meal being actually put on the plate, just like when you go to someone's house for dinner, it's quite often people do serve you.
Yeah.
It's not you select your own. That's the way we eat, and sometimes we all get used to what we do.
Yeah.
But a simple way to do that if you are in control, so if it is your household, is let people serve themselves. We do that all the time. We pop all the food in the middle of the table, and it teaches the kids as well to, not only educate about food and portions and, make sure you have your protein, you have to have some of this, you have to have some of that.
Improves their tongue skills.
That's what I was about to say, fine motor. No, it does. It's the actual experience of eating is a huge part of it. Yeah,
serving each other as well. Just on that, and that whole serve yourself, it's the majority. If we're at home, we will, plate up our own meals. If we're out and someone plates for us, we're not going to be like, excuse me, can you put that back so I can actually do my own rice? But no. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the majority of the time.
Yeah. Not
being perfect all the time. Wednesday night, home from swimming, the pasta's there, plate up your own pasta.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, we're not the psychos who go into other people's house.
No, just like you get told as a kid to dress for the occasion. If you're going out and if you're being served, eat for the occasion.
Eat for the occasion.
Absolutely. But that example of being plated, so if it was my family, us, I wouldn't plate Ben's meal.
No.
I would leave it and you would portion your own meal when you got home. Having your family be aware of what you're trying to do is really important. That's another conversation we have very early in nutrition journeys when we start coaching people, is let the people around you know what you're trying to do. Yeah. Because they want to support you to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and if they don't, that's a whole nother podcast in itself. But yeah, exactly. It's like, just for the next 2 weeks, can I just plate my own food, food? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience for everyone. If I think about my mum when I first did paleo, trying to sneak pasta into my meals and that kind of thing.
That is just the best story.
Then she actually used to start watching me. And now how she'd plate a meal for me would be very different to what she would traditionally do, just based on seeing me over the years.
Yeah.
So, it's a learning journey for everyone, and I think that's quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just bringing as many of the factors inside your control is important. Now, let's talk to it from the perspective of cooking your own meals. So, let's say that you do the majority of cooking in the house, which in our house, there are 5 taste buds to please. We are lucky and unlucky in a way. There are certain things that our kids just will not cop. And, as frustrating as it is, sometimes I would love a curry. They do not do spice at all. They don't really do dressings and flavors. They are very plain, which from a health perspective, we have kids who don't even like tomato sauce. So from a health perspective, it actually makes things quite easy because we will have meals that are easily separated. And then as a result of that, really easy to portion. It's rare that we have meals that are all, blown into one, like a lasagna. We do often have shepherd's pie, especially in winter. But the meal that we consistently have that's kind of like that would be, homemade pizzas, you can still control the toppings, but something like a pasta sauce where kind of most of the nutrition's all in one thing and it's not really separated, which does actually give us the opportunity to blend some vegetables in, which we do. It's basically the only way we can get capsicum and all sorts of stuff, pumpkin into them. But when you control the meals, I think if you're just starting out and you're just trying to get a handle on your overall energy intake then trying to just make the meals a little bit more basic is a good way to go, because you can start to eyeball your plate a little bit and start to get some consistency with your overall intake.
I would agree. So anything that you build from scratch, any type of bowl. So if you think like a sushi bowl even, you could actually get a measuring cup and measure your cup of rice.
Yeah.
You know, fresh veggies, you can see all that. You can have as much of that as you like. Your protein, again, you can see it. Your palm. Do I need one? Do I need two?
Because I think as soon as people start trying to eat healthily or change their nutrition, the first thing they do is start searching recipes. Oh, I need to change my recipes. I need to, I need to. It's almost like there's a fear that healthy food tastes rubbish. So it's like, well, I need to find a way to kind of trick my body into that, into the fact that it's having nice food. And it's not really the case. Like if you want to go down the recipe path, then you have to quickly level up your understanding of macronutrients. And that's hard in and of itself, understanding the difference between carbs, fats, proteins, and their energy content, and salts and sodium, and like that's way more sciencey and way more difficult. It's so much easier just to use your hands and just to bring your meals back to a level that's easy to see on your plate.
Also, complexity, like pressure. I think it's like parenthood in a way, motherhood. Like there's so much expectation of, like you don't need to cook a fancy dinner every night.
No. What are we having tonight? We're having leftovers.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, what a great example. This morning, our little girl Mia, I asked the question, what are we having for dinner? And Mia said, excitedly, leftovers, because she knows that there is always food in our fridge, and the idea of leftovers for our kids is sometimes exciting because that means that we're all eating something different.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no prep involved. It's all in the fridge.
Yeah. The most amount of prep we may do for leftovers might be just cooking a bit more rice or pasta just to go with the stuff that we've kind of, like we deliberately cook more than we need for occasions like lunches during the week or dinners for when one of two things, can't be asked, or just, like there's late trainings, or it's typically Wednesday nights that we have leftovers, and then we'll probably cook again Thursday for lunches and the weekend. But yeah, that idea of just, okay, well there's a quick carb, we've got noodles, egg noodles, the kids are enjoying, they're Kung Fu Panda fans. So yeah, that's how they show their appreciation for Po. Shout out Po. But like it's really easy like that. It's just a veggie, it's a carb, and it's a protein, and they're happy. Now we understand that not all households are like that, but trying to find your thing like that, it might look slightly different. Whatever's easy that everyone goes, yeah, that's great.
Let's talk about a classic. Let's talk about spaghetti bolognese or pasta with sauce.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common in most Australian households. How we manipulate that meal is very, very simple.
Yep.
We cook pasta like everybody else cooks pasta. We cook sauce like everybody else cooks sauce.
Well, what goes into that sauce is really the magic.
Okay, so we make sure the quality is in there. Okay, so we've got good quality protein. Remembering the quality of your protein makes a big, big difference, especially if you're on a fat loss journey.
When you're saying quality of protein, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the fat content. So if you look at the macro on a lean mince compared to a 3-star mince, there is going to be a big difference in calories. Because the fat content in the 3-star mince is going to be a lot higher, hence have a lot more calories.
That's right. So the calories from fats are 9 calories per gram compared to the calories from protein, which are 4 calories per gram. So the more fat that comes with your protein, the example that I always use is like chicken breast compared to pork, shoulder or belly or crackle, like something like that, where there's really obvious amounts of fats on the meal. To get 30 grams of protein from a serving like that is going to be way more calories than having a leaner option. So a higher quality protein option to us basically means less fat.
That's it. So your leaner meat, so your higher grade minces, if you are using a mince, we usually use beef, but occasionally we'll use pork as well in our
We used to do turkey all the time. We don't as much anymore, but turkey was popular when,
William used to
loved it. Yeah.
Or chicken is great.
Yeah.
Super lean.
Yeah.
So we've got our quality protein in there. We add heaps of veg to ours, but that's again all dependent on taste buds. You don't need to. It doesn't have to be specific to a traditional bolognese.
No, it can be whatever you want. Like
yeah.
easy ones to add, pumpkin. We've added. I actually think peppers in sauce is unbelievable. Like I'd never eat peppers on the barbecue. I don't really like them, but when you blend them up in a sauce, so good. That we've added lentils before. Beans, carrots. You blend it up. It goes creamy. It's yum.
Yeah.
And
so yeah.
We've just sort of interrupted each other. But if it was on their plate, especially Harry, basically, I'm always just thinking about him when I'm looking at the plates, like, oh, what a problem child, nutritionally speaking. But it's just like, he just knocks back everything, but he sculls pasta.
He does.
Loves it.
So we've optimized our sauce. So make sure you've got a good quality protein in there and try and add some micronutrients in there too. So think spinach, think vegetables. Okay. Yeah. The things that keep us healthy.
Stuff that blends well is the way to go.
Another thing we do absolutely every single time we eat pasta is we have a side salad.
Yeah. I would say, we never really used to, but probably in the last 12 months, I think we've done that more and more. And it's good. It's good. I like it. So
it allows them to see. I don't like to always hide things from them, as in like the vegetables. So it's you have to have some salad to be healthy.
Yeah. So avocado, they like cucumber.
Yeah. So everyone picks out what they want from that salad. I don't make a different salad. Harry doesn't eat cucumber or lettuce, but he will pick out the avocado from that salad.
Yep.
William doesn't eat avocado. He will pick out the cucumber from that salad.
Yep.
Mia eats everything. She's a dream.
Yeah. Favorite.
So everyone can have some veggies and they know they're having it and they know it's good for them and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now, when we're serving our pasta, I never serve Ben's meal. He understands all about nutrition. He knows all about his goals.
I'm a big boy.
And I wouldn't dare get involved. Okay, but I will serve up the kids. The kids do have more carbohydrates, so they have more of the pasta. They do not have the same protein requirement as us, as adults, as training adults. So they do have less sauce. I tend to go for the, I don't give them as much meat as well when I am actually getting the sauce. I try and give them more of the veggies.
Yeah, kids tend to reject the higher protein a little bit more. They just don't like it. I'm convinced they just don't like chewing, to be honest.
Harry is a bit lazy, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have a very controlled carb portion. So I'd serve my own carb portion. Ben would serve his own based on our goals. And then if we are having more, so we have quite a lot of sauce with ours to meet our protein needs.
Yeah.
So we'd have probably 2/3 of our bowl would be sauce.
Yeah.
And 1/3.
Also, if you've got a leaner protein, which means that, per 100 grams, the overall calories are less, then you can have more. You can have a big bowl because it's, basically not as expensive. It's just not bringing in as much as it would otherwise if you had a fattier mince and something else, and heaps of pasta as well. So
exactly.
You can have big meals when you make a few small tweaks.
Yeah. Then we have a full bowl of salad pretty much after our pasta.
Yep.
And occasionally we'll have a bit more sauce, just the sauce.
Yep.
With our salad.
Delicious.
So it suits everyone. It is the exact same meal.
Everyone eats at the same time.
Everyone eats at the same time.
Yep.
It's just little tweaks that make a massive difference.
Yeah, and that's a pretty in-depth example, and we could go through almost all meals, like the reality of family life. And I think even anyone who would live by themselves and cook for themselves is we eat the same 5 to 10 meals all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, it's rare that a new meal would come into the rotation, especially when kids are involved and they like what they like, and it's like, thank God, I'm just going to take the win and run. Just bank the 4 points and get out of here. But it is like, if you can then just make a few subtle tweaks to those meals that you have week in, week out, and you might cook extra to have for lunch on Tuesday, Wednesdays. We've cooked once and we've taken out 3 meals. Done. Bang, bang, bang. 3 out of 21 in the week. And then if you do it again with the barbecue, which we often do, there's another 3, there's another 4. And you can kind of leverage that cooking time so that you don't have to come up with a new meal every night.
Yeah. And then we use, for example, if we did a barbecue and we've got a whole heap of leftover protein, then during the week if we had sushi, that protein goes in our sushi.
Yeah, or last night we had wraps and I cooked way more chicken than we needed. I cooked like 1.5 kilos. We've had that for lunches at school and we'll probably have that on pizzas tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Chicken breasts, perfect, good source of protein. Like, it's just being efficient with your cooking time. You know, the hardest part of any of this is just kind of making those changes over the initial 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. You know, you don't have to completely turf out whatever you're doing at the moment.
Don't do that.
No, that's a disaster. That's one meal at a time.
Yeah.
Monday nights, what do we normally do? Can I improve what we normally do? Or is it Macca's takeaway and I need to start from scratch? You know, like, it all depends on what you're doing right now as to what the best course of action would be. But you can pretty much be, I guess, quite efficient with your meals. And I talk to clients a lot with weight loss goals about results on autopilot is make the changes and then, you know, just knock the dominoes over. It doesn't have to be a constant effort because you've already done the work in advance in regards to cooking in your meals, and all you have to do is just follow the plan.
Yeah.
The path there, just follow the path. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. It makes healthy eating easier when you're just more organized.
Exactly. Set yourself up so you're not going to fail. And it doesn't matter what you need. It's very individual. We just said that we always have food, so we've always got leftovers and that's our easy go-to.
Yeah.
I understand. Not everyone cooks like that. So if you need a pre-prepared option in the freezer for nights where things are hectic, then invest in that.
Oh, we partner with a terrific option. Just Nourish is so good, just for prepared in the microwave or the oven, bang, done, out they come, healthy meals. And then if you rewind all the way back to the example of, okay, you know, the noodles or the stir fry, you can just portion your meals with that. Easy. Doesn't have to be hugely difficult.
Pre-prepared rice that you can buy in the supermarket in the packets you can just stick in the microwave, you know, the cups. Have them in the cupboard for these times. You mix one of those with a can of tuna and a can of beans, you are laughing.
Yeah, it's really not that complex. And I hope that, I hope if you're still listening, you can kind of understand how there's a bit of a step-by-step process, and it's not just, I need to eat healthier, which is just such a broad and unhelpful statement. It's so hard to measure and quantify what it is you're actually trying to do. So, like, the steps are quite clear, and they're quite, maybe a little bit challenging initially, but once you get through it a couple of times, it is quite easy. It is quite easy. It's not as intimidating as maybe it sounds when we're talking about handfuls of this and palms of that. Just start with one thing. Make sure you get in enough protein, and then you can start to adjust everything else when that feels easy. Yep. Anything else you'd like to add?
One other thing that did pop up, and we've kind of touched on it in other podcasts, but when eating out, so a lot of people do eat out for dinner. And if you are going to a restaurant where you can choose your own choices, again, just try and either look at the menu before you go. Okay, what are my options? Try and target that quality lean protein.
Yeah. Take the example from the bolognese of, you know, the calories and the fats and stuff, and, you know, like, just treat every situation differently. Like, if it's your birthday and you're a massive fan of pork shoulder, whatever, slow cooked lamb, just, for God's sake, enjoy your slow cooked lamb. But if it's a Tuesday and you're like, I'm trying to make some changes and I'm going to look for a healthy option, well, that's when you would pull the lever on, you know, what's a lean source of protein here, and can I get a side of vegetables? Like, nutrition's just situationally dependent.
You mentioned the spag bowl there. What I think
you
wanted to get out there is, for example, we would never order spag bowl out.
Did I say spag bowl? I said lamb shoulder.
No, before that.
Oh, sorry. Always correcting me.
No, I'm just trying to expand on the point I think you were trying to make. That restaurant is not going to use the best quality protein in their spag bowl.
No.
That restaurant is not going to give you a quality serve of protein in that spag bowl.
Are you saying that La Porchetta doesn't care about my health?
They are going to optimize their profits. So they are going to give you lots of carbohydrates to make it look like a big bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And way outside kind of recommendations if you order carbs out, because again, they want it to look good, unless you're kind of fine dining.
Yeah.
So do try and steer more to the meals where you can actually see the quantity of protein. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah,
unless, like you're saying, it's an occasion. That's completely different. Or if it's a shared agreement, obviously you don't want any social anxiety around that. If you're going to a dinner where everyone's eating the same thing and sharing plates,
don't want to bring my weight scales to get my...
Don't even worry about it. What can you control? You can control the pieces you take off those shared plates.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's not a one size fits all occasion strategy. It's, it's a lifestyle strategy, which is, I know what I'm doing when I'm in control. I know how to flex it when I'm, when things are outside of my control, and I also know when to enforce it or when to relax on it, based on what is my goal, how do I feel, and a bunch of other things as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is how you do it for the long term.
Also, the more you learn, the more confident you will be in executing that.
Yeah, well, you will start to see the positive results from it, and that's where you can get your confidence from. Like, if you just start a new diet and you're massively confident, then that's crazy. Like, you need to be competent before you can be confident.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, on that little bar there, we'll leave it there.
Have a great week, guys.
Catch ya.